Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. This video is brought to you by First Detachment Nutrition. Battle tested, expert formulated. Use discount code AB10 at checkout for 10% off. All right, folks, Big Paul here today, fresh back from the Swiss Symposium hosted by Elite FTS. I was up there this weekend. Met up with Vigorous Steve, Chase Irons, a bunch of other people, Dr. Todd. We had a great time, met some of my clients up there. It was all kinds of cool stuff. And I mostly maintained my contest prep. I packed all my food. I did have a cheat meal with Vigorous Steve and the rest of the crew, with Justin, everybody else. We all went out to dinner and had some Brazilian steakhouse at Texas de Brazil. It was fantastic. But I wanted to give you an update on my contest prep, where I'm at. I haven't done one of these in a while. I am 4 weeks out from the Masters USAs. We're going to dig into all that in just 1 second. All right, so my vitals and health right now on contest prep. My fasted weight is down to 237. It was up a little bit after the high day. It's pretty much been the same the last couple of weeks. Come down a little bit. Daytime weight's 243 to 245-ish. I was up around 250 a while ago, but pulling down. I imagine my stage weight's probably going to be about the same as it was last year. Maybe a couple pounds heavier. I really don't care about weight. It's just whatever I look like on stage that matters to me. I think people get too hung up on the weight. Sometimes I'll see people that say, well, I have to be super heavy. Don't worry about what you weigh. Just look the best that you can, be in the best shape that you can on stage. That's all that matters. The judges just know what weight class you're in. They don't know how much you weigh. They just know what you look like compared to the other people out there. So I really don't care about my weight. Maybe it'll be a little bit more. Maybe it'll be a little bit less than last year. But I do think I have improved since last year. I have more density, brought up some weak body parts. But the judges will be the final arbiter of all of that. Everybody asked me how tall I am. I am 6'1" and 3/4. When I was at Swiss this weekend, it was kind of hilarious because so many people commented on, my God, I didn't realize you were so big. My God, I didn't realize you were so big. Seeing you in person puts it in perspective. Seeing you next to these other people in pictures puts it in perspective. I have a big frame. It's the curse of being tall. When you're big and tall, the pictures don't do you justice. You just don't look as big in pictures. Short guys always look bigger in pictures. It's just how it is. Bodybuilding is one of those sports where it's probably conducive to be shorter. Being a tall guy in bodybuilding is actually probably sets you back. It's a hindrance. My current blood pressure is 110/70. I had to drop all the BP meds. As I progress in contest prep, I lose weight. Cleanse seems to also drop my blood pressure. I have to cut back on the blood pressure meds. I can't continue at the same rate I was before, so I have to get rid of it. In the off season, I'll have to put them back in. Sleep, I've been averaging about 6 to 7 hours a night, which is pretty good for me on contest prep. I'm normally a 6 to 7 hour, probably 7 hour kind of a night kind of guy in the off season anyway. So not a big deal for me. I have actually been sleeping fairly well on contest prep this year. We'll see if that changes at the end. Usually sleep suffers while you're on contest prep. Health overall, I feel pretty good. I've had periodic bouts of IBS, but it's something that I battle all the time, and it's usually my fault when I do have it because I'll eat some food or spice or something that I know that's pretty much off limits for me. Garlic is a terrible one for me. Anytime I put garlic on anything, it sets me off. Anytime I use hot sauce, it sets me off. Everybody makes fun of my incredibly bland foods, but there's a reason for it. It's because my stomach is so sensitive. I have to be really careful with any spices or condiments that I use, or going off into the wild with some weird stuff. I pretty much run a low FODMAP diet where I stick with stuff that have a low FODMAP rating to help with digestion. There are things like traditional bodybuilding foods like broccoli and stuff like that will set my gut off. I have to be careful with eggs. I have to be careful with protein powder, all of these other things. So I keep my diet pretty bland. I keep my diet pretty generic. I can't eat a ton of vegetables either. Vegetables tend to nuke my stomach as well. But overall, I feel pretty great for being 4 weeks out. A little tired, a little lethargic, but that's to be expected. I was pretty zonked the first day of Swiss because I had come off of basically a no-carb day. It was a very low-carb day, which was tough for me. I need carbs to think. Okay, so current progress pics. This is actually from a week ago, so it's not from today. I'm a little bit leaner than I was in this picture. This was after posing practice, so I had a good pump going. I've been working with my posing coach, Brandon Barrow, who hopefully will soon be an IFBB pro. Brandon is fantastic. He's been really helping me out. And you can see where I'm at currently. My crappy posing here. Everybody talks about my hamstrings being small. I did have to work on bringing my hamstrings up this off season. I know they're not up to par with my upper body. I did increase them. I had both of my ACLs replaced and my knees are completely wrecked, so my legs are sort of lagging behind my upper body. I'm almost 50 years old. There's not too much I can do about it. I do what I can for legs, but my legs aren't up to the same level as my upper body. It's just how it is. These are the cold check-in pics. These are fresh out of bed, no pump, shitty light. When you start looking good under the crappy light, I tell my clients all the time, don't worry about making yourself look super good under good light. When you start looking good in the crappy light in your check-in pics, you know that you're getting close. That's how you know when you're looking good. You can see the scarring and stuff on my stomach. People all the time talk about the scars and stretch marks. I've been obese at points in my life. I also have had multiple abdominal surgeries for various things I'm not going to go into today, but my stomach is scarred up. I've had plastic surgery to repair some of it. There's just only so much you can do. It is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. I just have to go with it. You can see here from the side, I'm starting to get lean. I am starting to get some cuts in my glutes. Kind of hard to see here. It's really weird. My glutes start to come in before my lower back does. You can see I'm starting to get some separation in my glutes. I have a little bit of the old man ass, a little bit of the saggy skin under my butt, but that usually tightens up as I get towards the end of prep. A little bit of lower back fat left I need to get rid of. You can see here on the shanks, I guess, love handles, whatever you want to call them, but I have this pocket of fat that always hangs out here above my butt and below my lower back that tends to go away at the very, very end of contest prep. It is the very last place that I lose it. It's just the way it is. My glutes will come in before I lose that. Current diet right now, on my medium days, I am running 2696 calories with a total of 370 grams of protein, 205 grams of carbs, and 44 grams of added fat. Now keep in mind, I want to remind people, I do not count indirect macros, so I'm not counting the macros such as the trace amounts of fat that's in the chicken, the fats that are in the 96% beef. I'm not counting the protein that's in the rice or whatever. So my actual calories are probably closer to 3,000 or a tad over 3,000, and my macros are a tad higher than that. The reason I do this, it's just not worth the extra effort to count the additional trace macros. It's just a waste of time. It's just extra work for no additional benefit. And it's all relative anyway. So if I make a 5% drop in my calories based off of my methodology, 5% is still 5%. And as long as I'm in a deficit and losing fat, it doesn't really matter. It's all relative. As long as you're eating lean cuts of meat and stuff like that. All my fats are added fats that you see counted here. Those are added EFAs generally. I'll use things like olive oil, flax oil, fish oil. I will use guacamole, avocados, macadamia nut oil, various sources of EFAs. I'm trying to get my omega-3s and my omega-6s in. High day currently. Justin scaled it back just a little bit on my high day. I am at, 1,000 grams of carbs. No, he didn't. On my high day, And my total calories for the high day is 5820. I have 320 grams of protein. And you can see here, this is pretty much what I do on my high day. I split my meals up. You'll see here, you'll notice that half the carbohydrates come from sugar. The other half comes from starchy carbs like rice or cream of rice. The reason I don't do all of it from rice, if I were to do 1,000 grams of carbs all from rice, that would be 20 cups of rice, roughly, give or take a little, that I would be eating throughout the day. That is an incredible amount of rice. I don't think I could shove down that much rice. So we make up the rest of it from sugar. And it's fun stuff. So I'll throw in a couple fun things just to help me with cravings. Like I'll have a serving of apple pie filling or a serving of Captain Crunch during the day. Or maybe some Sour Patch Kids or something like that. But in the off season, I'll generally stick with fruit and fruit juice. During contest prep, I'll have some other things that it might be a little more fun just to help with cravings. And the great part about carb cycling on contest prep, I only have 6 days to go until my next high carb day where I can have some sugary stuff and have a cheat meal. And that helps keep me sane. I had a pretty robust cheat meal this weekend. I usually don't eat a dirty-ish cheat meal. We went to, as I mentioned at the beginning, the Texas de Brazilian steakhouse, and I ate a crap ton of fatty meat, and I had some scalloped potatoes, and I even had a little piece of dessert, which is unusual for me. I usually don't do that on contest prep, but I've been losing weight rapidly, and I was just giving myself a break, and we're going to be locked in from here to the finish line. My low day, which is 1 day per week, let me back up here. So I do 5 medium days a week. I train 6 days a week. I do 1 high day per week. Generally, that is on a leg day since it's the highest energy demand day. It would make sense to have that on a leg day. And then we do 1 low day per week, which is my off day. My low day right now is just really not, I consider it really just sort of zero carbs. Really, all my carbs are coming from fruit. It's 78 grams of total carbs for the day. Really, it's actually a little less than that. Justin gives me 60, but my math came out to 78. I'm just having a piece of fruit with each meal or a rice cake with each meal. And that's it for carbs during the day. Those days are pretty rough for me. I feel like absolute dog crap when I'm not eating carbs. That's the toughest day, to be honest with you. So 360 grams of protein, 78 grams of carbs, mostly from fruit, and 60 grams of added fat from EFAs on that day. Current PEDs, the pedal is to the metal now. We're going full force to the finish line. Anabolics right now, testosterone is at 750 milligrams a week. Primo is at 600 milligrams per week. Masteron is 800 milligrams a week. Tren is 140 milligrams a week, which is 20 milligrams per day. And I just added Anavar in this weekend at 50 milligrams pre-workout. People always ask me, why do I run Primo and Masteron both? Aren't they sort of interchangeable? Recently talking to Kurt, it seems like Masteron works more as far as the AI properties of it. Masteron works more like a serum. Primo works more like an AI if we're talking about the estrogen-lowering effects of it. And also, I've noticed that Primo is more anabolic, at least anecdotally speaking. I notice I have more fullness when I run Primo versus Masteron. Masteron seems to flatten me out and pulls water from the muscle. I get more of a flatter look with Masteron, so I want to keep some fullness in. I leave the testosterone a little bit higher than a lot of other people do, and I leave the Primo in because I tend to get fat. I would say this would be dependent upon how you react to stuff. If you're a person that stays full and has a hard time getting dry, then maybe you would want to pull the testosterone down further, run a little more Masteron, but it really is dependent upon individual genetics. I personally respond better to this, and I found I have a fuller look if I run things this way. For estrogen management right now, people also freak out that I'm running AIs at the end of contest prep, AIs in SERMs. The reason I do that is because I have found, even though there's a lot of people now that say that you shouldn't crush estrogen to lose fat, I have found that if I really want to get dry and hard, I have to absolutely bury my estrogen and get it down to about 0, as close to 0 as I possibly can. So I've added in the anastrozole and the tamoxifen, and that will get ramped up probably at full dose going into the last 2 weeks, which would be 1 milligram of anastrozole per day and 20 milligrams of tamoxifen. But for right now, we're running half of that. Current peptides, I'm running HGH at 9.5 units per day. Those of you in the know will know what that 18 units of a certain brand of HGH that I'm running. Split across 2 days. I split it up into 3 doses, actually. During the day, I'll take a dose in the AM, pre-workout, and before bed. I think people overthink the dosing part of it. I've never really found much of a difference from splitting up the doses in various ways. I only am running insulin on high days now, and actually this weekend I started to go hypo just on 5 units of Humalog with 175 or 150 grams of carbs in a meal. So I, in the past, have had to drop the insulin towards the end of contest prep. I get so insulin sensitive and my body just soaks up all those carbs. I don't need it. Fat burners, I have been taking this day to day. I've actually scaled back the fat burners a bit. I am running 2 Go pills from First Detachment Nutrition in the morning, or I'll have a cup of coffee and yohimbine instead. But the Go pills have caffeine and yohimbine in them. I normally would take them twice a day. Justin has it set up usually where you're taking that in the ephedrine twice a day, but I can't sleep at night if I do that. So I have pulled back on that. I am also running 80 micrograms of Clin per day. I usually max out at around 100. I may or may not push up to 100. Some days I'm only running 60. I just see how I feel, how I'm sleeping. And I have been taking off the fat burners completely on my high carb days because I just don't see a point in taking them. And I'm going to use that day to rest and recover, get some extra food in me, make myself feel a little bit better during that day. Current health supplements for glucose management: 1,500 milligrams of berberine per day. I use the suppressor product from First Detachment Nutrition. I honestly have only been running it on my high day. I found that I don't need it otherwise. For general health, I have a whole food multivitamin twice a day, 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C split up in multiple doses throughout the day, 5,000 units of vitamin D. For cardiovascular health, I'm running 3,000 milligrams of fish oil, 2,000 milligrams of flax oil, and CoQ10. For the liver, I'm running Tucka, milk thistle, and NAC. There's a product from First Detachment called QRF that has all of those in it. You don't need to buy them separately, so I use that product. For kidneys, I'm using an astragalus complex. I use the renal reset product from First Detachment as well. If you want to pick up those products from First Detachment, there is a link in the video description below. You can use the discount code AB10 at checkout for 10% off. For digestion, I'm using Oxbio on the high days to help with digestion. And I use psyllium husk nightly for fiber. Anybody who's done contest prep before knows when you get towards contest prep, you're pooping cinder blocks in contest prep. It is an issue. RX meds, I am not really running anything right now. I dropped the telmisartan in the also the lipid modulation drugs. I was running ezetimibe in the off season. I found out that it was causing my stomach to get completely messed up. Generally, my LDL goes down to almost nothing on contest prep. I have actually had my LDL down in single digits before after contest prep, so there's really probably not much of a reason to even manage your lipids on contest prep or use lipid modulation drugs. The telmisartan I had to drop, I told you that before, because my blood pressure is getting low during the day. And occasionally I'll take some a proton pump inhibitor, pantoprazole. I've had to run it periodically. I probably will have to run it the last month of prep while I'm using Anavar because orals tend to cause acid reflux. We'll see how it goes. My current training is an RP PPL. I am running Renaissance periodization. I'm doing chest and tries on my first go. I train everything twice a week. So I was doing chest and shoulders both on my pull day, but I scaled that back because of my shoulder injury. I have torn labrum, so there's only so much I can do on those days, so there's only so much volume I can push. But I'm doing chest and tries, legs, pull, I'll do a horizontal pulling day where I'm doing rowing exercises. Then I'll do a second push workout, which would be my my shoulder day, where I'm doing shoulders and triceps, and then I have legs, and then I have my last day, which would be my vertical pulling day, which would be all pull down movements for lat width. Right now, I am normally in the off season, I would run it from minimum effective volume to maximum recoverable volume, but currently I've been just kind of hanging out at 12 to 15 sets per body part per week. Cardio, this has changed. This actually should be 6 times 30-minute sessions per week. According to Justin, he thinks I'm slightly ahead of schedule and pretty much going to be ready here in the next week or two. I always like to try to be ready going into the show, which is a nice place to be. You don't have to kill yourself going into the show. You can actually push food up the last couple weeks. Not a whole lot now, just kind of coasting into the show, doing my training, trying to stay upright, being smart about things, and really not a whole lot going on. All right, folks, that's it. That's where I'm at on my contest prep. If you have any questions, comments, leave them in the comment section below. If you want to support me, please support my sponsor, First Detachment. Quality supplements formulated by the man himself, Justin Harris. You can pick them up at firstdetachment.com. There is a link in the video description below. Please use the discount code AB10 at checkout. Thank you for all your support. For coaching or consultations, head over to www.anabolicbodybuilding.com to book your spot today. I can help you with optimizing hormones, fat loss, muscle gain, physique, athletic performance, nutrition, and health. For more information, shoot me an email at bigp3rd@gmail.com.